Good morning. Good morning. I am on my way to the gym. But I wanted to talk about past lives. In my journey, I've crossed paths with a lot of people who, were always curious about, what I'm saying, like past lives. Even people that have gone as far as having like certain past life readings done. And for me, being, on the outside looking in at some point, I will always be like, why is there every time somebody talk about they got a past life, like they're always some type of damn witch or some type of like high priestess, you know what I'm saying, like, or tiller of the ground, like it's always the same story, you know what I'm saying, like, but it makes me think about when I experienced my own past life vision. Me personally, from an astrological standpoint, as I was saying, from an astrological standpoint, I have Neptune in my 8th house, and I also have my North Node, which is your soul's purpose, in my 12th house, which gives me access, you know what I'm saying, to the Akashic records, you know what I'm saying? So, I've been able to, tap into certain things in the ethers, in the dream realms and things like that. So, I recall one day in particular, one night. Now, one day I was decided to wear my malachite stone. Malachite is a really, really pretty green stone. It's pretty much based in copper. But I wore that stone because it's a transformational stone. It's good for your heart. You know what I'm saying? It's good when you're seeking change, and it really helps uproot your own dark emotions for you to work with. So if you're about self-work, like true self-work, like flipping over those stones and finding those traumas and things like that, and if you can really be real with yourself, about yourself, I suggest, getting yourself a malachite stone. And it's also a protection stone. So anyways, well, that day I wore it, that night, I remember going to see my dad. Then I remember going home, going to bed, and having this vision. And in this vision, I saw myself in the mirror. I saw myself, I was a white girl. I had to been in my upper teens, probably like 15, 16, and I remember having 2 younger siblings. I remember my mom, I never saw her face. I only saw her back. She was in the kitchen cooking. And the part that I remember the most was of me and my dad. So the memory that I remember the most was of me and my dad. And I was actually pregnant in the vision. And I was having sex with my father in the other room. And I remember I didn't see any abuse from him, but I got the feeling, like I felt the fact that, he was actually physically abusive to all of us, but only sexually abusive to me. It's not something I seen, it's something that I just knew. And I remember taking my 2 younger siblings and us running away. So fast forward to waking up. When I woke up, like my heart was racing, like I'm just like, yo, what the fuck was that shit? You know what I'm saying? I immediately hit up my homegirl and told her what was up. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And anybody that knows me knows that I be having dreams, and I will call you. Yeah, I will call you. And dreams are something that's very important to me. You know what I'm saying? You have lots of tribes out there that sit around, you know what I'm saying, like campfires and shit, talking about their dreams, trying to figure out what it all means and get any lessons and things like that. So that is something that I do practice with my family, is discussing our dreams. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I do talk a lot. I'm a Gemini moon, so if it's something that I'm emotionally connected to, I'm gonna run my mouth. You know what I'm saying? If it's something that I thoroughly enjoy, I'm gonna run my mouth. But so anyways, I told her, and she was like, well, maybe it was your labradorite stone. And it's like, I told her, I was like, I didn't even wear my labradorite stone that day. You know what I'm saying? So, and labradorite is another like high frequency stone or whatever. But I didn't even wear it that day. I had on my malachite stone. So as I'm talking to her, I'm researching But yeah, so I remember Googling like malachite stone past life. And I had studied this stone before, you know what I'm saying? Like that, that's how I knew I wanted it. Like when I find something, I study the fucking shit out of it to figure out if it's like really for me. And so one thing I did not realize is that malachite was a past life stone, but a past life stone for a specific nature, for sexual trauma. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that shit. This is why, you know, when I make pieces, when I make my jewelry, I always put out a disclaimer, like, don't buy a stone just because it's cute. Like, buy a stone because you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, or else you're going to get some results that you were not ready for. So, anyways, I started reading about that. I stopped talking to her, and I remember just breaking down. I had like a legit breakdown to where I curled up in fetal position and cried for like 2 hours in my bed, because one thing that people fail to realize is that when you yourself have the past life vision, you relive that entire moment. You relive those feelings, whether internal, whether from on an emotional level, you relive those thoughts. You are that being in that moment. You relive that shit. So I relived, even though I never experienced it in this life, I relived incest. I relived rape. I relived being pregnant with my child, with my father's child, and having a mother there that had her back turned. So she knew, I felt like she knew what was going on, but maybe she was too scared or too passive or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I relived that shit. So the trauma that came was real for me. The whole moral of me making this post is that when you over there seeking, trying to gain information, whether you get it, you know, purposely or unintentionally or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you want to make sure that you are ready to handle it. What if in the past life you were a rapist? What if in the past life you were a murderer? What if in the past life, you know what I'm saying, like you were raped? What if in the past life, you know what I'm saying, you never know what the fuck the outcome would be. So be mindful when you are traveling or having these so-called, you know what I'm saying, whatever, visionaries, you know what I'm saying, like tell you what happened in another time. Are you going to be able to handle that? Because that's just not something that you play with, that you just, ooh, I saw this, and no. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Be mindful and have good intentions and know that everything ain't all cookies.